I recently had the privilege of watching D.O.A, a film noir set in 1949 San Francisco. It's a film about death, the sun, and the pursuit of meaning, running away from problems and learning to walk in defiance of them. In 2004, D.O.A was selected for preservation in the United States National Film Registry by the Library of Congress as being culturally, historically, and aesthetically significant. The symbolism in the motion picture reflects a central existential theme, that from birth, we're very much dead on arrival. We follow the life of Frank Bigelow, a hardworking accountant and notary public who lives in Banning, California, a small town with few people with very simple lives. Bigelow is utilized as an average man. He's engaged to his accountant Paula, and although his life is fairly easygoing, he seems to be a very desirable man for a small town. Before sealing the deal with her and officially getting married, he leaves for San Francisco without her to have fun and explore what he sees as his last opportunity to do so on his own.
My wife, she's a good dancer, isn't she, Bigelow?
Oh, yeah.
While at a bar, he finds himself feeling ill after unknowingly getting poisoned and heads to see a doctor. This, to me, is the climax of the film. It's very early on, but it's done carefully as to illustrate that the focus is not on the exposition of Frank Bigelow's life, but rather on how he comes to a resolution, which, as we later learn, he never gets. Bigelow is a dead man walking. The poison cannot be dealt with, giving him only a few days to live, and he is told, "You have been murdered."
Of course, I'll have to notify the police. This is a case for homicide.
Homicide?
I don't think you fully understand, Bigelow. You've been murdered.
You might imagine how he'd react to such news. We see Bigelow running through the city, pushing people out of the way, which the film didn't have the budget to hire the city, which makes it all the better to see the crisis Bigelow is facing, pushing real people out of the way, and their genuine reactions to his flight. After a few minutes of running, he pushes his back against a newspaper stand and decides to rest, the sun, unfazed, staring right at him. The Life magazines behind him implying his death is near, and the sun representing how the world is uninterested and indifferent to his circumstance. That, even on his worst day, the sun rises, the birds chirp, children play, and people find love. It's in this scene we also recognize what Bigelow is thinking. The director makes it clear to us that rather than Bigelow being murdered, so are we, with the repetition and echoes of the words, "You have been murdered," suggesting we are suffering the same fate. It is only that Bigelow will meet his end sooner.
You've been murdered. You've been murdered. You've been murdered. You've been murdered. You've been murdered.
And rather than begin to run once more in fear of his circumstance, he begins to walk in defiance of it. The rest of the film is spent with Bigelow uncovering why he was murdered, and in the end he was killed because some hidden organized crime syndicate assumed he knew of important information about them, which he didn't, and so they killed him just in case. We find that his murder is meaningless, but what becomes more obvious is why does he even attempt to uncover his murder? It won't change the fact that he'll die. His fate is given to him and he can't change it. I've spoken with other people while watching this film, and the first reaction people have to Bigelow's decision to uncover why he was murdered is always the same. Why doesn't he go to Paula? Why doesn't he live the rest of what little time he has in bliss? This is where the significance of the film is revealed. Throughout the film, the director has guided us to assume we are in Frank Bigelow's situation, that much like him, we have been murdered, that as soon as we're born, we are dead on arrival. We do exactly what Bigelow does the moment we realize our fate. We search for meaning. We search for a reason why we're alive and why we'll die, much like Bigelow looks into his murder. This film is a reflection of us, that life is not about searching for meaning, but simply living. We come to find that Bigelow's murder is meaningless, which implies that even if we do come to some reason as to why we exist and why we will die, most likely it will not be the answer we wish, nor will it give our life and death any more significance. It's commentary. It's a clear and concise message to us to stop searching for this meaning, that family, love, and kindness is enough meaning. If we can recognize that the sun will continue unblinking as our lives emerge and get buried, then we should also admit that perhaps if there were an answer, it wouldn't be relevant to us. Rather, it would only hurry our angst to find what joy remains after our meaningless pursuit of purpose has ended. Those questions as to why Bigelow decided not to spend his remaining time with Paula are questions we should ask ourselves. Why don't we spend more time with those we love? Spend more time doing what we love. Enjoy what life has to offer instead of fearing what it will do in the end. There is no control as to why we will die, and there is no control in preventing our fate. What we can decide, what control we do have, is how we navigate life, how we live, how we engage with our decisions. There is freedom in choosing what we do before we die, and that is a freedom we should not take for granted. The freedom to even worry about life is miraculous. It may be so that D.O.A. has shown that life is a film noir, but I am glad that this motion picture allows for the acknowledgement of what control we do have and what decisions we can make to better what time we have left. I quickly wanted to thank everyone that comments on these videos. It means a lot that they're engaging enough to solicit a response, and I'm also very grateful for those who have decided to subscribe. I put a lot of effort in writing, editing, and researching for these videos, and it does mean a lot for a great deal of people to enjoy watching. I hope you all have an amazing day, and I will see you later.